Hey guys, tonight's movie review is for The Space Between Us, starring Asa Butterfield and Britt Robertson. A little bit about this movie. It is a book adaptation into a film, and basically the plot is there's a group of astronauts that are leaving for a mission to Mars, and the lead astronaut is a female, and she discovers shortly after they take off that she's pregnant, and she's set to give birth right around the time they get to Mars. She gives birth, unfortunately passes away during childbirth, and Gardner, played by Asa Butterfield, is born. And he starts growing up on Mars. The company that funded the trip decides not to make any kind of announcement that a child was born on Mars. He's kind of kept a secret. So for 16 years, he kind of grows up on Mars, the only child who's ever been born on that planet, and really has no interaction with human beings other than the astronauts that are on missions to Mars who stay at the space station there. And he also has computer contact with a high school girl on Earth named, or her nickname is Tulsa, played by Britt Robertson. And they talk every day, and he longs to have that connection. He watches a lot of old movies that some of the astronauts leave, and he just wants that human interaction, that human connection. So when he gets to the age of 16, he basically is given permission to come to Earth, and he has a couple of main missions in his wanting to come. One, he wants to be able to live on Earth. He wants to become a real human who's here among us, or an Earthling, I guess. He wants to find out more about his birth father, because since they hid the fact that he was born, he doesn't really know anything about his dad, and I don't think his dad knows anything about him. And he wants to meet Tulsa. That's the only person on Earth that he's had any interaction with. So that's basically what the story's about, is him getting to Earth and kind of the adventure that takes place on Earth, meeting Tulsa and trying to meet his father. As far as the acting in the movie goes, the two main actors, Asa Butterfield and Britt Robertson, I thought they both were really good with what they were given. In fact, one of the most enjoyable parts of the film is watching Asa as Gardner and all the things that he's experiencing about Earth for the first time, because he has no frame of reference for, the way we dress or kind of the slang, everything that kind of makes Earthlings human or part of Earth, he doesn't understand it. So it's kind of funny seeing him go on that journey. It's interesting. But they both are really strong in their character development. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the side characters kind of get dropped. You really don't have a lot of development other than the lead two. And so any storyline that isn't actually between the two of them is pretty weak, in my opinion. The story in general, I think, it being a book makes me think, of course, when they adapt books to film, a bunch of stuff falls off. But I think for this one, a lot of the character development, a lot of the development of the storyline itself seems to have fallen away. Like I said, the other characters have fallen away. The storyline is just, it's really choppy. The pacing is really choppy. It doesn't make sense. A lot of the things are just ridiculous that are going on in the story, and it kind of just takes you out of the story in general, because you're like, okay. Since it's not a fantasy movie, some of these fantasy concepts just don't work very well, and it just comes off as more of just like a cheesy romance movie that comes out around Valentine's Day, which is what it is. So I would give this movie a D. It's really forgettable. Really, the only endearing part is the two main characters and their connection, but even that, gets over the top. But everything else, the whole story, all the other characters are kind of trash. So I wouldn't recommend that you see this one. If you're wanting something romantic for Valentine's Day, I would choose maybe something that's coming out closer to then. La La Land, if you haven't seen that, or just, watching something classic at home. But it's a D on this one, unfortunately. And that's all I got. If you enjoyed watching this, I would love it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more, please subscribe. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night.